Welcome to the AIOps Evolution Podcast. This series features visionary IT leaders who are paving the way for the next evolution of the IT industry. Discover the truth about where we are in the adoption of artificial intelligence for IT operations and actionable tips that you can implement to become a more effective IT change agent. In this episode, we are joined by Andi Mann. He is recognized and awarded as a leading technology analyst and explorer with varied experience delivering business results through technology excellence and innovation. As a trusted advisor, he has proven success guiding other executives and diverse teams in technology strategy, product innovation, business development, mergers, and acquisitions. He is a published author, compelling speaker, and motivational leader for global conferences, events, panels, social media, press, sales enablement, and more. Andi currently serves as the Chief Technology Advocate at Splunk Incorporated, the global leader in bringing data to every part of your organization. Now, let's join your host, Sean McDermott, a mission-driven serial entrepreneur, IT engineer, and AIOps visionary for this exciting discussion.
So welcome back to the AIOps Evolution Show. My guest today is Andi Mann. Andi is the Chief Technology Advocate at Splunk, is an accomplished digital business executive with extensive global experience as a strategist, technologist, innovator, marketer, and communicator. For over 30 years across 5 continents, Andi has built success with startups, enterprises, vendors, governments, and a leading research analyst. He's also been published a number of times, and he's on a whole bunch of lists and co-author a couple books called Visible Ops Private Cloud. He's been in the Innovative CIO, and he also talks and tweets on @Andi Mann on Twitter. So, Andi, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sean. It's great to be here. I tell you what, I couldn't have come up with a better bio if I wrote it myself.
Exactly. Well, you and I have known each other for, gosh, I don't even know, 20 years. I mean, I think we back in the EMA days, the analyst days, right?
Yeah.
And you are not one to mince words. So this is going to be a fun show for us. So
Not a shy man, it's true.
So as you know, this is really a show about talking about AIOps and the evolution and how helping companies move towards AIOps as a strategy. So I'd love to hear you've been all over the place. You've been at all these different vendors. You've worked for an analyst firm. You've worked for startups. I'd love to get your perspective on AIOps. So let's just start by talking about how do you see AIOps and why is it important?
Yeah, so AIOps is actually hugely important. I'm seeing this directly from some of the experiences in our customers. AIOps is fundamentally the marriage of data and automation and things, data analytics practices. So the idea is that you get data out of your business, you apply analytics, machine learning, AI, artificial intelligence, and then you apply that to the activity of IT operations. So especially these days where you're getting massive data sets coming through from real-time metrics out of cloud services, for example, potentially even out of edge devices and so forth. The idea is that you apply AI techniques, machine learning essentially, but advanced analytics, and you use the outcomes of that to automate processing. So it makes the process of troubleshooting, triage, fix, repair, ticketing, all of that faster, better, easier.
Great. Yeah, I think one of the things that we talk about a lot is, and we'll get to a question I ask everybody, and it's going to be even more relevant in the period of time we're dealing with right now, but there's so much data coming in, and you guys are a data company, right? I mean, you guys consume massive amounts of data, but as we see it, there's so much data coming in that the humans can't comprehend, they can't process it anymore, right? So there's this huge gap between what we can do as a human and the amount of data coming in, and AIOps is really about processing that gap, right? And allowing the humans to focus on the decisions around that data as opposed to trying to call through the data, because it's virtually impossible now.
Yeah, exactly. You talk about, especially when we think about modern development techniques, you think about cloud native development, microservice architectures, containerization, the idea of using individual components. Now, every time you break a large monolith application down into individual components, you're creating extra traffic just between those components, if nothing else. But for every extra component, or a microservice, for example, that you add to your application, you're not adding one more connection, you're adding an exponential growth in data and connections. So this is the thing where you're doing cloud native development especially. The idea that a human can process all these signals and understand them is just not even feasible. And so the idea is that you apply the machines to these levels of volume. And when you're looking at especially online applications, so much of cloud native development is around online application development. It's about direct connections to your customer. So AIOps becomes really critical in a couple of ways there. One is that any slight outage is now affecting a direct customer. So you've got to know about it. You've got to know about it early, because customers, we all know, if a customer doesn't get a response from your web application within about 3 seconds, they are gone. It is almost a linear progression. 1 second delay, you will lose 10% of your business. 3 seconds, 30%. 9 seconds, 90% of your customers will bounce out of your website. So you've got to know. But there's so much data coming out of your website that humans can't process it. So what we've done in the past is things like sampling. So we'll look at a sample of application traffic or response time or something like that. Problem there is that if you miss that one data point, which is a really high value customer waiting for 9 seconds and bouncing off your website, you've lost that customer forever and you didn't even know about it. So AIOps puts the machine to work doing what machines are really good at, processing that huge volume of data. So let me give you a really concrete example, Sean.
Sure.
We've got one customer, financial services. So we all know financial services, outages, variation on estimates, something around $100,000 a minute, up to millions of dollars literally a second. You think about these high frequency traders, for example.
Absolutely.
And so what this company did was they were able to use machine learning to detect patterns of behavior in their operations environment. What does a good transaction flow look like? What does a bad, error-prone, failing transaction look like? Using these patterns, able to detect what a pattern looked like that will create an outage. So we're talking now about getting ahead of outages. Now, this company was able to get ahead of an outage by 12 seconds. Now, 12 seconds sounds like nothing. But if you're in IT ops, you know that getting a 12-second early warning on a major outage in a financial system that will cost you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a minute or a second, then all of a sudden a 10-second window is everything. You avoid all the thrash. If you tie it into automation to do automated fixes of known problems, which is very much at the heart of AIOps, then the problem gets fixed before it even happens. So not only do you avoid the outage, you avoid all the costs, your customer never knows there was a problem. So that not that they bounce out of your website, they keep doing business. So really significant outcomes, measurable, real world, early, but important.
We'd like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor, Windward Consulting Group. For over 20 years, Windward has been helping IT leaders run complex global networks and data centers to deliver impactful business services. Windward is the full package with industry-leading solutions, architects, and integrators with certifications, partnerships, and deep expertise to integrate leading ITSM and AIOps tools with leading technologies like ServiceNow and Splunk Incorporated. From technology implementation to integration to managed services, Windward has your needs covered. With Windward, you get strategic thinking and real-world results. Do you want to see if Windward's A-team is a good fit for your needs? Go to get.windward.com/AIOps to book your discovery meeting today.
We do a lot of work on Wall Street, right? And your example is spot on, because you think about everything's going electronic now, electronic trading and things like that. When trades are happening in a second or microseconds, right? And you got a delay of 2 or 3 seconds, you may have a delay of 400 or 500% of your competitor that's buying or selling or trading, stocks, bonds, or whatever other kind of instruments. So they sound, like you said, they sound like small numbers, but they're massive differences in certain market segments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
financial especially, right? When you've got businesses that historically have done things like build new networks to take milliseconds off transaction times, if you can get ahead of an outage, enormous.
well, and the interesting thing is that you could sit there, some people would say, well, I'm not into financial services. We don't have that kind of
Sure.
a response time, but that's actually not true, right? Because if you're in any kind of digital business, which everyone's, with digital transformation, everyone's moving, and you've got customers that are trying to get a response for 3 or 4 seconds, they don't want to hang out for that, right? And if they're new customers that you're trying to sign up for your service, let's say you're a B2C or B2B, SaaS application, and you're saying, and someone comes to your site and say, hey, I think I'm going to try this out, and they're going to sign up for it, and it takes 10 minutes for them to sign in, and it's just, you get in the spinning ball, they're gone. Like, you lost a customer, like you said, you lost a customer, didn't know it. If you have existing customers that are logging in and have 2 or 3 second, 4 second delays, they're just going to be frustrated, right? You're going to be that application that's just slow and nobody really wants to use. So
it affects employees as well, Sean. So when you think in the modern era, the idea of attracting and retaining talent, and I've done research myself, personal research on the differences between technology at home versus at work. We looked at a couple of years ago at the ideas around consumerization of IT. And if your applications at work are horrible and slow, do you think they're going to recommend that as a place to work to their friends and their talented colleagues? No. They're going to say, oh, my company, we don't have great technology. You might want to go somewhere else, right? So it's also employees, a little thought of, but I think the customer engagement side is more important, but this spreads throughout the business.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about Splunk a little bit, right? So what is Splunk's view and of the current status of AIOps in the marketplace?
Yeah, look, thank you. It's one of my favorite topics. So at Splunk, we're absolutely committed to AIOps. We're seeing this as an early stage market. For example, the Gartner Group, the analyst firm, they haven't done a full Magic Quadrant on AIOps yet. They've only done a MarketScape. Good resource, by the way, to have a look at all the vendors that are doing this stuff, not just Splunk. So it's definitely a growing and emerging market. It's having a good impact. We're seeing that in our customers, right? From retail to financial services, healthcare as well, to be able to respond quickly to incidents and problems, big impact. So, we talked about, things like mean time to detect, mean time to investigate, mean time to repair. The different phases of that repair life cycle when you find problems are all being impacted by the ability to get ahead of them. So we're seeing a lot of customers starting to save money, make money. We did research just recently with another analyst firm, AIOps Strategy Group, that showed that a more effective use of data can add 5% to revenue and take 5% off cost. So 10% on your bottom line from using data better. And that sort of paradigm is applying more and more to AIOps as well. Huge adoption in small segments, by the way, within the DevOps community, for example. So DevOps, cloud native development, the SRE community, solidly adopting data analytics, machine learning techniques and applying them to their IT marketplace. Some are businesses starting to get to what we're seeing as negative MTTR. This is where you are able to solve the problem before it happens using predictive analytics. So, we're investing heavily in AIOps. We are fundamental believers in it because it helps our customers do more and do better. And so it's going to continue to grow. It's relatively early days right now. And, AIOps, originally Gartner coined this term, algorithmic IT operations. Honestly, that's a better name for it in terms of being descriptive. But everyone saw AI in an acronym and just assumed it was artificial intelligence. So they eventually changed it. I don't know there's actually that much AI going on right now. I'm not sure we're fooling the Turing test, but advanced analytics, machine learning, applying AI techniques to operations. This is the future of IT ops, I reckon.
Yeah, I've been a big I've been a big I say outspoken about the fact that we really aren't doing AI, right? AI is really a marketing term. I mean, we're solidly doing machine learning, right? And we have a long way to go before we get to AI. And so I think that just so that people understand that, and it's good to hear that you say that too, because I don't want people to get, because also AI's got this kind of weird connotation right now, right? I mean, and not necessarily in a positive way, and especially when you have people like Elon Musk coming out saying AI is, the biggest threat to humanity. So, and people equate it to jobs and, being replaced, and I got a whole question on that later, but yeah, we're clearly in the machine learning space, and we're early on that, right? And so it's going to be very interesting to see where this is going. So Splunk has this history, right? You start in basically log management, 2003, right? Wasn't the company founded in 2003? And became the market leader in log management, like log processing and things like that. Obviously, it's been incredibly successful at that and expanding into security and IT operations and things like that. So how does Splunk look at AIOps in the context of your overall product portfolio? And the reason I ask this question is that if you have someone who's heavy into Splunk enterprise security, right? What should they be thinking about AIOps in regards to their Splunk footprint and portfolio?
Yeah, interesting, right? Because AIOps is very much centered around using the analytics and advanced analytics to feed information into some activity. And so, the activities tend to meld at the edges of what is the AIOps circle. Maybe it's overlapping Venn diagrams or something. But the idea is that you've used the analysis that you do and the insight that you uncover to feed into other systems. So you feed it into maybe a service desk system where maybe it sits in a queue and eventually gets picked up. What we think is that the service desk is maybe not where problems get solved. It's where knowledge gets stored. There's a lot of upsides to a service desk, but we certainly at Splunk believe that what you want to do with data is take action. And so taking that data from the AIOps tool sets, from the analytics, taking the outputs and feeding it into automated tool sets is a really important part of what AIOps does. So for example, in the event management space, taking 1,000 events, figuring out which was the root cause or the proximate causes of the problem, and then using automation routines to solve that problem because it's a known. So what security professionals can do is follow that same practice. So you get this idea around security automated response. The idea that there are known knowns in the security and penetration world, that if certain patterns happen, that indicates a nefarious action, a malicious actor. And so you can then use that to take action. So you might be able to change a config, shut down a port, redirect an inquiry into a honeypot instead of your production network. There are all sorts of things you can do. Get another tool set to start taking actions like redefining their credentials or something like this. So the AIOps concepts, the ability to take data, analyze it, use that for any decision, includes the security operations as well, for sure.
Yeah. It sounds like an integration platform that does automation would be useful now, right?
What an interesting concept. Exactly. That's the thing, Sean. None of this is particularly used. And you see all these vendors going out and talking about AIOps. We'll find information for you. We'll show you the problem. Well, that's great, but what are you going to do about it? Right?
Yeah.
Don't just show me.
For the audience who didn't catch that joke, that's I started a company in 2004 and sold it to one of your competitors that does automation and orchestration, which would be a perfect use case now of integrating all these sources to then take action on it. But that's a whole other conversation we'll have.
No, exactly.
So let's talk about your Splunk strategy. Like, so what is Splunk's strategy around AI ops currently? Where do you see things are going? I know that you're a publicly traded company, so you have to be careful about, roadmaps and all that other stuff. So stay within the confines of that. But kind of give us an idea of where you see things going, like where and what makes Splunk unique in this.
Yeah, good one. Let me take the second one first. I'll talk about today and
Sure.
what we're doing right now and why it's unique. So one of the things we're doing quite a lot of work in, and this is what is really getting traction with our customers, is around event management and incident resolution. The idea that every operator knows the event storm, right? When you get 1,000 alerts that all pop up. I used to get this, oh my goodness, overnight, 3 a.m., my entire console is locked because I've got all of these priority messages. Now, it's all caused by one thing, right? It might be a switch goes down or a storage controller fails, and the event alerts cascade from that one immediate proximate cause. So using event analytics to find the problem, applying our expertise. You said it yourself, we started a long time ago. We've been doing this game for a long, long time. We know what we're talking about. So applying expertise, applying our algorithms to make it easier for our customers so they don't have to be data scientists. Applying service views to this AIOps environment. So it's not just a graph of metrics from a server. It's not just a whole bunch of pings. It's actually, what does this mean to my order entry system? How is my online web store responding? Business metrics. Am I losing revenue because I'm taking too long to process transactions? So the service insight. Any data? So we're taking inputs from databases. You mentioned log analytics. Absolutely Splunk's core strength. But we're doing databases, metrics, network traffic, APIs, traces. We're taking data in from places like Hadoop, other big data stores, any location. So on-prem, on SaaS, on Azure, on Google, on Azure, on-prem, anywhere you want. It's open. So part of our strategy is to let our customers add their expertise too. Mm-hmm. So you can import algorithms into our AIOps technology, use your own, manipulate ours. Really important point here, it's not a black box. It's trust but verify. You can see the working. So many systems don't do that. They're just black boxes. So it's all about turning data into doing, right? Not just show the problem, but solve the problem. Don't just find the problem, fix the problem. So what we're doing in future is our strategy and how this plays out. Our big bet's more knowledge. We want to embed more of our knowledge and let customers embed more of their knowledge into machine learning and AI routines. So inside out of the box, better integrations, more data sources, more automation, more tool sets integrated into that one control plane. We want to do more. We want to take more data and take it into more doing. So better actions, better automation, more out of the box, more machine learning that we provide with our expertise as well, but also more automation and better integration with external integration tools as well. And just faster, bigger, and better, Sean. Taking more data, using stream processing data in the stream rather than waiting for it to come into the central store. No sampling technology. So we're not missing any data points. We're getting every single data point. We're not doing any sampling. So some of these things are just fundamentally different ways of looking at AIOps. And I think it's going to set us aside and make our customers so much more successful.
Introducing Redmonical, the only commercially available software solution that provides IT executives with real-time AI-driven analysis of their IT investments and associated risk factors. Redmonical simplifies tool discovery, tools rationalization, and risk analysis so you can achieve always-on service availability, mitigate the security risks of technology acceleration, and optimize IT spend. Redmonical is a single source of record for IT tools, costs, and features powered by a knowledge base of over 1,500 commercially available tools. Run what-if scenarios to see the full impact of technology change and identify gaps that may result in security breaches and downtime. And you'll get an expert portfolio analysis from your dedicated portfolio advisor. Redmonical is a CIO's best friend and turns your IT tool portfolio into a strategic advantage. Want to take a test drive? Go to redmonical.com/AIOps podcast to book your demo today.
You guys are unique in that you actually are the data source. I mean, you're not the very source of data. The object is, right, that you're managing, but you're the closest thing to that object, right? So you're getting data directly off that microservice or physical switch or something like that. And the ability for you guys, what you just hit upon, which I think is really interesting, in-stream processing, right? Before it actually even gets to the machine learning engine and the algorithms, to be able to do processing before that to make the algorithms more efficient is pretty interesting, right? And if you don't have that data source, if you don't control that data source, you can't do that. So that's a very unique thing.
Yeah, the in-stream processing is something we've been developing over the last sort of 18 months or so, and it's fantastic. You can get, I think you can get it on the beta program still. You're going to save time, right? That's the big thing. Because all of a sudden you're going to see some of these events and other notifications early because you're looking at it in the stream, not in the platform. You're also going to be able to get more insight, because what we can do now is we can process multiple streams so nothing backlogs you anymore. You don't have a constraint at the central platform because you're pulling in so much data. You're actually able to process it and pre-process it. By the way, it's also going to reduce cost because, storage in the central platform, ingest to the central platform, bandwidth to the central platform is all reduced by stream processing. It's a really cool technology. I think it's going to really just fun. If you don't have in-stream processing, you are going to be behind your competitors. You're going to be much slower. You're going to see less data. You're going to be able to do less with it.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because a lot of platforms are integrating to you guys for the data sources, but you guys have the data source. So you're able to do things and take advantage of. So that's interesting. So you talked about making big bets. Any other big bets you guys are looking at?
Not that I can talk about. As you said, we're a public company. So, always go and look at our website for currently available products and information. Check our filings on SEC, of course. But right now, no, the strategy is very much around any data from any location to any problem for any answer. The idea of data to everything. We are the data to everything platform. And our overriding strategy, it's built around core principles around what is going to make our customers more successful, what will make our products the best in the world, what will make our people and enable us to attract the best talent in the world. As a company, that's our core guiding light. And so when we look at our AIOps strategy, it's about a product that is better than anyone else in the marketplace. We're already leaders in so many areas, in the Magic Quadrant for APM, in the IDC market share information, AIOps, out of multiple analysts who are doing rankings and ratings. We're already a leader there, but we're never a company to sit in our laurels, right? So getting better, always better, and responding to customers. What do our customers tell us they need? Innovation, as you know, you're a great innovator. Innovation is always a balance between responding to your market demand and your ideas. And that's fundamentally what we're looking at trying to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've started a few software companies, and you gotta really be listening to your customers, right? And your customers will guide you, because you can sit and design these things and come up with great ideas, and certainly you guys have, but until you get it out there and customers start playing with it, they're going to give you so much feedback, and that's invaluable for your roadmaps and where you're going, and you'll be right on some things, and you can double down on those, and you're going to be wrong on some things, right?
Yeah, look, I'll tell you, Sean, being at Splunk has been really invigorating. You mentioned I wrote a book on the innovative CIO. I've been studying innovation for a long time. I've built a couple of products myself. And being at a company like Splunk, where we can follow these innovative practices, we can fail fast, fail cheap, fail forward, and fail early, I guess. And the ability to innovate and try these new things, Splunk is very open to that. I actually have a team of advisory engineers, and I want to give a shout out to them because they're incredible, high acting people who experiment and try new things all the time. They're building connectors to new data sources. They're building new ways of processing. They're creating new algorithms. the ability for us to innovate and try new things. And yeah, sometimes we're going to fail. That's okay.
Yeah.
If you're not failing, you're not learning, you're not trying enough new stuff. So yeah, it's really, I just want to say it's an amazing thing to work at a company where innovation is done so right.
That's awesome. Well, so I always ask this one question, and then we can kind of wrap up. We touched on this earlier about AI, right? And this concept of people scared of AI, right? So what's your kind of position on that, and of how do people look at AI as a positive? How do people not be scared that AI is going to replace their jobs? What's your just general thought process on that?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I mean, I'm really bullish on it in a lot of ways. I think it's going to create a whole new industries. It's going to make so many things more productive. Over the history of the world, humans fear change, right? We're not good in a lot of ways at accepting change. Psychologically, there's all sorts of proven studies and stuff which show that. Oh. And so as we grow into,
I think there's a lot of biology that proves that too, right?
Well, exactly right. Yeah. And so I think the future of AI is both contributory and scary. You say people are afraid of losing their jobs. You know what? They probably should be to an extent. I know we're not meant to say things like this, but automation replaces jobs. It just does. It always has. I don't know a lot of buggy whip manufacturers anymore, right? Because new technologies replace old technologies. That's how it works. Coal mining has gone through a great downturn, not through a lot of things that people might think, but mostly through automation, through machines. Manufacturing in the US, through machines, yeah. The manufacturing labor base has gone down. So you know what? You should be a little worried, but that's a motivator. You know what? I've automated myself out of a job multiple times because if I didn't do it to myself, someone would do it to me. And so for people in ops, if you're not adopting these machine learning and AI ops techniques, you'll be automated out of a job. If you adopt the techniques and become the expert, you become the one who automates the system and the process. Now, there'll be other jobs that get created as well, by the way.
Sure.
A data scientist, that was not a job 15 years ago, really, was it? I mean, maybe esoterically in universities and stuff. Now, I go to a supermarket and they've got a data scientist. I'm talking literally. I've got supermarket customers that have teams of data scientists analyzing for traffic patterns and all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. I think the middle ground is where we're going to settle. Typically, it's always the middle ground we settle. We have these pendulums where we freak out at both ends, but we tend to settle in the middle. And I think we're going to settle on a positive spin around augmented intelligence. AI at this point, and to my mind in the near future, doesn't replace humans at all. It augments them. It makes them better. If your skill sets are low enough that AI is going to replace them, then I think you need to find training opportunities to up your skill sets. Maybe become an AI expert, maybe become an automation engineer. We've seen this in DevOps and SRE. The idea of a sysadmin, it doesn't really exist because you need to add more value. So you become a DevOps engineer, you become a site reliability engineer. I think the same thing will happen with AI over time. We will get scared, people will lose their job, but we will use it to make our lives better, to find problems faster, to make customers happier. And ultimately, we will find other activities, professions that we don't even know about today that will continue to employ people.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. So with that, I think we will end it on that note. Again, it's always a pleasure talking to you, Andy. And we don't get to see each other live very often, usually at a conference here or there, but it's been a pleasure and knowing you all these years and looking forward to talking more in the future where all this is going.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I appreciate you inviting me on your show. Always enjoy talking to you. I know it's been, almost 20 years we've known each other. Yeah. Always enjoy having a conversation with you, mate. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now we can't do it over a beer, though.
Yeah, I know, I wish. Soon.
All right, my friend. Good luck, and thanks for being on the show, and we appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us in paving the way for the evolution of AIOps and the next generation of IT innovation. If you are inspired to dive deeper into the movement, check out all the resources available at AIOpsevolution.com.